put you on hold, and when you hear me say, "What's your name? Where are you calling from?" that's the first time that I know who's on the line. And you're certainly welcome to call in, whether you agree or disagree. And if you disagree, please, you're more than welcome to call in and try to convince me I'm wrong, and convince the audience that I'm wrong, and share your alt viewpoint, because all viewpoints are welcome. All right. So Todd Blanche, who's pretty awesome, isn't he? He's really awesome. He's being questioned here by Adam Schiff, who's the sleaziest man ever. There's just something about Adam Schiff that I find creepy, And Todd Blanche, he's going through this hearing today. They're asking ridiculous questions. He just went through a Senate confirmation hearing to be the Deputy Attorney General. So, they just confirmed him a year ago. So what's going on here really is a formality, but they're giving him a hard time, of course, and saying stupid things. But, he's done a great job. And, Pam Bondi, what a disgrace. And we haven't heard anything from Pam Bondi. What a disgrace she was. She was doing her job as Attorney General, the job that the Bushes sent her to do, that the establishment rhinos sent her to do. She wasted an entire year not doing anything. Todd Blanche comes in as the acting Attorney General. We got Comey arrested. We got all this stuff going on. We got these fraudsters arrested. He's doing a great job. And Pam Bondi, she was a spy within, is what she really was. And she was hoping to stay there for 4 years, obstructing justice. We had the Attorney General leading the Department of Justice who was actually obstructing justice, Pam Bondi. And Todd Blanche has been doing a great job. Here he is with the sleaziest man. Do you guys get creeped out without it? He is just creepy, Adam Schiff. Here he is with Todd Blanche. Yeah, these hearings are insane because the Democrats, whatever hearing it is, and whichever era of politicians it is, okay, these hearings, whether it's in the House or the Senate, all you get from Democrats is slander. All they do, they slander the Republicans. They ask questions that aren't really questions; they're accusations. And what he's trying to keep going, Adam Schiff, and his psycho followers, that this is what they want to believe is true, and they'll continue along with this. But they want to keep this thing going that there was something valid at Mar-a-Lago. And we all know what the Mar-a-Lago break-in was all about. And what the Mar-a-Lago break-in was about, and if you remember, when the FBI broke into Mar-a-Lago, they brought with them a specialist. Do you remember do you know what the specialty was? Do you remember this? Remember? They brought a specialist with them, a safecracker. They brought in an expert, a specialist, who had an expertise in breaking into safes, right? And when they broke into Mar-a-Lago, they broke into President Trump's personal safe. And you know what they found in it? His passport was all that was in it. He really doesn't need it anymore because he's president, right? The only thing it had in it was his passport. And what we found out later, that when they broke in to Mar-a-Lago, it had nothing to do with classified documents. Okay? They had gotten into their head, probably by watching Rachel Maddow on MSNBC. I don't know where this came from and how they convinced themselves of this. But they got it in their head that President Trump had a binder. This all came out later, okay? So this is not something I'm just making. This is something that was reported long after the Mar-a-Lago break-in. But they had gotten in their head that President Trump had in his safe in his office at Mar-a-Lago a binder, and the binder had all of the documents of Obama ordering the spy operation on Trump, the whole coup operation, spying on Trump Tower during the campaign. They got caught with spying on the West Wing and the Oval Office after he was president, and it continued, right, during the whole first term. And they thought that he had had a binder with all of those documents in his safe in Mar-a-Lago. That's why they broke in. Everybody knows this. And, you know, it came out today that Jack Smith was getting all these transcripts of text messages of the entire White House staff, including Pence and others, but also a whole bunch of Republican senators. And, you know, President Trump being elected to this second and non-consecutive term saved the United States on so many levels, okay? And we were moving into an area that was going to just be total tyrants. I mean, what they were turning the United States into, the Uniparty and the Democrats, led by Obama behind the scenes and his cronies, was East Germany, right, in the 1960s and the 1970s, the Soviet Union in the 50s, 60s, where people were spied on. Everything was listened into. Opposition political parties outlawed and declared subversive and things like this. And, you know, Jack Smith and that entire regime, they didn't think that they still, not to this day, do not think that anything they did to President Trump was wrong. They think Comey, Jack Smith, all these people, they think they're American patriots. They think they're American heroes who were saving America from Trump and MAGA. And they're still convinced of that today. That's how sick, warped, and twisted all of them are. You know, and for Jack Smith to be spying and getting the text messages of sitting members of the United States Senate, I've never heard of such a thing before. You know, this is what J. Edgar Hoover was doing times infinity, because, you know, J. Edgar Hoover, who's famous for having those files, all he had was bugs. And, you know, bugs, listening devices in J. Edgar Hoover's time were probably the size of this microphone I'm talking into, that they had to hide behind a plant or something. I don't know how they did it. And they had these huge reel-to-reel audio recording tapes. They didn't have all this technology, right, where they could listen in to everyone's phone calls everywhere on a dime, because everything's computer. They didn't have any of this stuff, you know. So whatever J. Edgar Hoover did, which they've told us is the most evil surveillance ever, that's nothing compared to what they were doing to President Trump during his first term, starting at Trump Tower, in his first term, and of course the auto pin years, and it's never ended. And they feel totally justified in doing it. And, you know, and what Todd Blanche is doing, he's finally bringing some justice. You know, and a lot of what Todd Blanche and President Trump are doing, because a lot of these people, you're not going to be able to put them in jail for all kinds of reasons, right? You know, when people are doing crimes, even if they don't view it as crimes, they don't keep records of it, so it's kind of hard to prosecute a lot of times. I get it. But what Todd Blanche and President Trump are doing, and this is probably what President Trump's speech Thursday night in primetime from the White House has to do with. It's about correcting the historical record on all of these things. And President Trump very much wants to have the historical record corrected, okay? Now listen to this. Now this is one of the things that's just bizarre to me. This is a Democrat Congresswoman, Gwen Moore, and she's talking about their precious migrants, their precious illegals. Listen. Now, where do they get that at? You know, I keep hearing this all the time. Illegals are less likely to murder people than American citizens. Really? Where does she get that number? You know, I don't. You know where they get that number? They just make it up. Okay, so, you know, what an idiot. What an idiot. Okay, so, you know, I watch a lot of true crime. I like ID. You guys like ID? I like Dateline and all that stuff. And when people are murdered, you know, I watch a lot of murder mysteries. Most murders are about money or sex. Money or sex. And most people are definitely murdered by people they know, right? That's why they get caught. However, people are murdered all the time by criminals committing, you know, sex or money. Well, money involves people doing criminal activity, breaking into a house, robbing you in the streets, things like this. But yeah, you know, I don't understand what their logic is on this. They keep saying this. So are they, what are the Democrats, what they're suggesting, are they suggesting, because there are Americans who do kill other people, that illegals are entitled to a certain number of kills? I don't understand this liberal logic. I don't think they understand it either, because it's not really thought out. But that's what their tone is. Well, Americans kill people, so migrants, illegals, they get killed too? Is that what they're saying? Really? What they're saying? If you'd like to call in, please do. The number is toll free, and it is pinned in the live chat, 888-465-2631, 888-465-2631. I want to take a moment to talk about Jupiter Joe Thomas and annuities. You know, Joe Thomas and annuities is absolutely amazing. You know, when you put your money into an annuity, your money is never at risk. No matter what happens in the stock market, you don't lose anything. And you're guaranteed a check every month for the rest of your life. It's amazing. There's all different kinds of annuities too. He has one annuity where you earn 15% on your money on day one. 15%. So if you invest $100,000, you make $15,000 on day one. But you only have to invest $25,000 into that annuity to get that 15% bonus. And that's like over $3,700 on the $25,000 on day one. And you're guaranteed that check every month for the rest of your life. It's absolutely amazing. There's other types of annuities as well, including annuities where an income doubler, and if a health issue arises. So you and your spouse, if you or your spouse have a health condition, that monthly check you get gets doubled. So if you're getting $2,000 a month, now you're getting $4,000 a month. Isn't that something? And there's other types of annuities as well. It's really amazing. Give Joe Thomas a call, no matter where you are located, and schedule your no-charge consultation. 561-743-0999. 561-743-0999. We'll take a quick break and be right back. All right, we're back. I'm Brian. Thanks for tuning in, everyone. If you're new to the program, obviously, this is where MAGA comes to talk. Make sure that you subscribe. And everyone who's already subscribed, could you do me the favor of liking the video? When you guys like the video gets recommended to people that have not yet found my channel. So please like the video, guys. Now, you guys know Libs of TikTok? Libs of TikTok is probably the most effective Twitter/X account and TikTok account to ever exist. Because Libs of TikTok has gotten policy changed and has been around for several years. In fact, Libs of TikTok became really nationally known because they got a hold of that internal Zoom meeting with executives from Disney when they were talking about how they were subliminally putting gay characters and trans characters in children's programming. Remember this? And went public with it. And that's when Ron DeSantis, the governor of Florida, ended Disney World's 50-year deal where they had their own city and everything here in Florida. And it made a lot of changes and really woke the country up to all the transgender nonsense and everything that was going on. And Libs of TikTok is still doing things every day and uncovering things that are crazy. And listen, look at this. I saw this on Libs of TikTok, and this makes no sense at all. Okay, this is in New Jersey, and there's a school district, Sparta Township's public school district, is looking to hire a gay-straight alliance advisor. Okay, well, that's kind of been a normal thing for the last, I don't know, gay-straight alliances in schools. I've been hearing about this for like 15 or 20 years. And that on the face of it, well, it seems kind of odd. I don't know why you would waste precious school district money on a gay-straight alliance advisor. And this is an adult role, but it's when you get down to the small print, this is an online application. It's a little more detailed. Look at this. Sparta Township Public School District Gay Straight Alliance Advisor. Click the link to apply. It is for a pre-K elementary school. Now, why would a pre-K, why would a pre-K need a gay straight alliance advisor? Why would pre-K, which is, remember, pre-kindergarten, so pre-K is 4 years old. You start kindergarten at age 5, right? So pre-K, they didn't even have pre-K when I was in school. We just had kindergarten. And I don't know how it went when you guys were in school. We went for half days. There was the morning session and the afternoon session, and I was lucky. I got to go to that morning one, and I got out early. I don't remember the hours. I was a little kid. But anyway, pre-K is 4 years old. So what does a gay-straight alliance advisor do in relation to 4-year-old children in a public school? What are they advising, and what's the point of that? The liberals, the Democrats, are losing their party, with the Democrat Socialist of America communist. They're losing their party all over the country. The Democrat Party, likely in the next couple of election cycles, will no longer exist. The Democrat Socialists are winning. They don't care about winning the elections. They care are control of the Congress. They're looking for weak Democrats in districts around the country that they can win because there's low voter turnout or something. And they go and win the primary. Next thing you know, you got a communist, Democrat Socialist of America commie is the nominee in that district. They're destroying the Democrat Party from within, quite brilliantly, in fact. And the Democrat Party, if they wanted to survive, what they would do is become more normal, right? And reject the stupidity that has led to, but they can't do it. And the Democrat Party establishment, what they are is they're like a man on the ledge. They're hanging on the ledge of the building by the tips of their fingers. They know it's hopeless, but they're still holding on, thinking that there's some way that they can survive, and they can't. And what you see the Democrats doing, whether it's the illegals, the ICE incidents I was talking about, Iran with the, and everything that they're doing, the gay straight alliance for the 4-year-olds and the pre-K. The Democrats are still taking the extreme woke positions that led to this mass exodus from their party in the first place, and has set the stage for these Democrat socialist commies of America to come in and take over. And my original thought when this was happening is, good, I want to see the Democrat dissolve, but I don't want to see these Democrat socialists be successful either. I don't want to save the Democrat Party, don't misunderstand me, but I certainly don't want these commies to be publicly normalized and accepted, because that will be the end of this country as we know it. If these Democratic socialists take over, if the Democratic socialists take over the Democrat Party and become one of the two, see, the Democrat socialists are a small group. If they were a third party, they would be a very fringe party, more so than the Libertarians. They'd be like the Green Party, right? The Green Party's been around for decades, but they're not players. They're too small. And that's how the Democrat Socialists of America are. So what they're doing is they're making moves to take over the Democrat Party, and they are doing it. It started with AOC and then the rest of the squad, and that's it. Now, there's one Democrat, I'm a little leery of this guy, but there's a new poll out in New Jersey that says, now it's a bit of a confusing poll, because it says that 60% of Democrats want Fetterman to switch parties and become Republican. And I don't know if that means they'll vote for him. Are they pissed off at him and don't want them in their party anymore, and say he should be a Republican? I've got a lot of mixed feelings about Fetterman, because Fetterman, when he's on television, you see him on television a lot, he says all of the right things. He says what you want him to say, right? Everything you want him to say. But when it comes to voting in the Senate, he has like a 98, 99% voting record of voting with the Democrats every time. So he's, I don't feel we can trust Fetterman. Do you? I really don't. But here's Fox talking to him. See, this is a theme I've noticed on Fox in the last couple of weeks, and I don't know if you've seen this, but Fox News is out to try to save the Democrat Party. Have you noticed that? They're always out there defending the Democrat Party and trying to save it. And I'll tell you why they're doing that in a minute. Okay, blah, blah, blah. I don't trust a Democrat. So why is Fox News so obsessed with saving the Democrat Party? Why do you think? I'll tell you why. But why do you think? Why is Fox obsessed with saving the Democrat Party? Why do you think? Because they're Democrats? Because they're liberal? Because they're uniparty? Mm-mm. You know what it's about? It's about ads. It's about campaign commercials. The Democrat Party, like the Republican Party, when it's election time, and this is an election year, and then we're going to have the presidential election year, the Democrats do massive ad buys on Fox and local Fox affiliates all over the United States. The regular main Fox, the regular, I've noticed on Fox News, like, regular Fox, where they run regular shows. I've heard them on Fox News lately referring to that as Big Fox. Have you heard that? Big Fox, that makes them Little Fox. Well, that's a lot of regular programming, right? That everybody watches. A lot of Democrats watch it. And that's Fox. And some of the sports program. The Democrat Party, you may not think this, they do, but they spend massive amounts on local ad buys and national ad buys running Democrats around the country every election. And we're on the eve of the midterm elections, and there's going to be massive ad buys later this year after the primaries. Some will go on during the primaries, but after the primaries are all over, massive ad buys. And the Democrat Socialists of America are not going to buy ads from any of the Fox companies, the big Fox network, Fox Sports on the weekends, none of that, or the local Fox News channel and affiliates around the country. But the Democrat Party establishment will. So that's why Fox is spending so much time trying to save the Democrats, because they don't want to lose that advertising revenue. And it's almost like they made a deal. You know, television news is one of the most dishonest, corrupt entities out there. It really is. And and that's what that's all about. Do you watch any of your local news? We watch the local news. Half to 3/4 of the stories on local news are infomercials. I'm watching the local news, and they'll do a story on somebody in the community that helps children, helps with drowning prevention, right? I've seen stories like this, and I've seen this particular story. They do the story, and you find out it's some school that's paid for the news story where you can send your kid and pay, and they'll teach them to swim, right? You see that on your local news a lot. I cannot tell you how many times I'm watching the local news, and I'm in the middle of a story, and oh, this is not a news story, this is an infomercial. Well, the same thing happens on Fox. And Karl Rove with his stupid whiteboard. That's why Karl Rove has been on Fox News as a pundit all these years, because he is a big campaign consultant, and he does major ad buys every election season, midterms too. And his ad buys are between $50 and $100 million every election cycle, Karl Rove. So he gets to sit on there looking like a canned ham on Fox with his whiteboard, giving you his analysis, which is always wrong, but it's because he does massive ad buys on Fox, both nationally, the big Fox regular network, and the local Fox affiliates around the country for congressional candidates and governors that he represents. That's what it's all about. And, I'm not opposed to these people making money. The media needs to make money. We all make money. I mean, I do this for a living, right? But they come about it dishonestly. So if you're wondering why Fox is working so hard to save the Democrat Party, that's why. It's simple. The Democrat Socialists don't do that type of advertising. They do everything on TikTok and Instagram stories, okay? That's how they do it. And Fox knows this. So, and if they were honest about it, I wouldn't mind. But the way it's presented, like this story I just shared a bit of with Fetterman on Fox, that was from the Fox and it's like there's it's a moral crusade to save the Democrats. No, it's not. The Democrats are evil. They've always been evil. They used to own and buy and sell black people, right? They put Americans of Japanese descent in internment camps. The Democrats lynch people. They wouldn't let black people go to their schools. And even the things they're doing now. They're fighting hard to keep these rapists and murderers in our country from around the world that have invaded the country illegally, right? So the list goes on. So now there's nothing virtuous about the Democrat Party. It is a evil, corrupt thing, and I have no interest in saving them. And I don't think you do either, but now that you know what I shared about Fox, I think it probably makes sense. If you're on hold, hang in there. I'll get to some calls in a bit. And if you'd like to call in, the number is toll-free and pinned in the live chat, 888-465-2631, 888-465-2631. And here's a story. Fox, they did a story here on the Democrat Socialist of America, which has officially released their platform. Mm-hmm. Okay. So, and they go on. And also their platform, they want to abolish the United States Senate and the presidency of the United States, okay? And have the Supreme Court answer to the House of Representatives, which will be the socialist body that runs the country. Now, that's their official platform, which means that the Democrat Socialists of America are calling for the overthrow of the American government, which is what the commies have always been advocating for. So if the Democrat Socialists of America are calling for the overthrow of the government, doesn't that make them an insurrectionist organization? Sounds that way to me, you know? But when I see this story, this platform didn't come out today or yesterday. This came out 2 or 3 weeks ago. And I just shared this with you guys on the program 2 or 3 weeks ago, right? I went through it. So why is Fox covering it today? Well, probably because they're trying to save the Democrat Party for those ad buys that I was talking about a few minutes ago. Do you understand what I mean? This is the kind of, this is not news, this is old news, right? Like 2 weeks ago, a guy called in, he didn't believe me. He was a leftist, and I read him the platform, and he's like, oh. Remember that? It was like 2 weeks ago. You know, this is old news, but they're covering it today as if it's new. They even got the news sounder, breaking news, alert. You know, this is the late news, like 2 weeks late, right? On Fox today. This is part of their crusade to save the Democrat Party. We do not want to save the Democrat Party, okay? We do not want to save them. And really what the goal needs to be is, and this is how it works, okay? We have been for our lifetime and the lifetime of our grandparents and great-grandparents and pretty far back, but you know, we've been a two-party system for a long, long time, long time. And the two-party system has been in place because the Democrats and the Republicans both represent about 50% of the people. Well, with what's going on with the Democrat Party today, are they really equal to the Republicans? Are they really one of the two parties now? Is there even a second party, right? And what I mean by that is the current Democrat Party, have they been so damaged by the Democrat Socialist Commies of America that they're really a third party in their strength and influence today? And I would argue that they are. And not only that, the Democrat Socialists, what they need to be forced into doing is this, okay? Because the whole system we have with the presidential debates and everything is based around the two-party system. Well, we no longer have two parties. We have one major party, which is the Republican Party that's gone MAGA, and we have these two third parties that are fighting each other for control, the Democrat establishment and the Democrat Socialist of America, right? What we need to do is force them to properly identify themselves. There's all kinds of the Green Party, Libertarian Party, Prohibition Party. There's a lot of useless third parties around, right? But what we need them to do is to properly rebrand the Democrat Party as the Democrat Socialist of America. And that'll be the end of them. Because the American people don't want anything to do with that. Now, there are some losers that do, but not enough people to make them legit. So this idea that the Democrat Party needs to be saved, I don't think so. You know, I mean, how many babies are dead because of the Democrat Party? Think about it. I mean, it's crazy. I don't even want to know. I really don't. How many people would have been born and lived full lives if it wasn't for what they did with Roe v. Wade, as an example? That's just one thing. Many other things they did were pretty evil. But we need to force them into acknowledging what they are, that the Democrat Party no longer exists. It has faded away and is now the Democrat Socialist of America. That's what they are. And let's see how they do. And they will be rejected. And not only will they be rejected, they'll be rejected pretty big. Now, if you'd like to support my channel and my content and my podcast and my YouTube channel and everything I do, you know, and I do a lot, guys. I mean, You know, I did my first live stream I did today at 5 a.m. Then I did for 30 minutes, and then I came to the studio and then did a 3-hour, 45-minute live stream on the morning show, taking your calls. Here I am again in the afternoon. And if you'd like to support my content, become a Patreon supporter. There's a link in the description. And when you become a Patreon supporter, you get access to a lot of exclusive things, including my daily Patreon live stream, where I talk about things I cannot talk about here, do not talk about here, and will not talk about here or anywhere else. In fact, something happened during the show today that no one even knew about. I knew about it. Chuck, who's in the chat a lot, he knew. But other than Chuck and myself, no one caught something that happened during the show. And I did a live stream on Patreon, exclusive to the Patreon supporters, telling you what some snake did during the live show this morning. And that's the kind of content you get when you're a Patreon supporter. There's a link in the description of the episode. Click the link. Now, you have to be a paying Patreon supporter to get access to all of that content. So when you go there, there's an option to become a free Patreon supporter. And if you do that, you don't have access to any of the content. So you have to become a paid Patreon supporter, and that starts at just $5 a month, okay? So again, there's a link in the description. My name's Brian. This is where MAGA comes to talk. I'm going to take a quick break, and we'll be right back. All right, welcome back, everyone. I'm Brian Craig. This is the Brian Craig Show, where MAGA comes to talk. The number is pinned in the live chat if you're watching live right now on YouTube, 888-465-2631. So Todd Blanche, Todd Blanche is going to be confirmed as the Attorney General, okay? First off, they've already confirmed him to be the Deputy Attorney General, okay? So, this is just a dog and pony show, but here's another clip of Blanche today. Okay, so what this is all about is these down pilots, right? That went down over Iran, and the New York Times reported that we had airmen on the ground that we had not located yet. And what happened is the Iranian Revolutionary Guard Corps put out a huge reward, and then all the Iranians were trying to win the lottery and were searching for the down airmen, and they would not have known about it if it were not for the New York Times leaking that classified information. It could have gotten them killed. That is insane. And this idea that their sources are protected, this is nonsense. There was this case in the 70s with the Washington Post called the Pentagon Papers, and the Washington Post got a hold of, what was the guy's name? Eldridge? Daniel Eldridge? Who was the name of the guy that was the Pentagon Papers guy? He gave all this classified intel to the Washington Post, and they printed it. And the government, the Pentagon, went to court. It went all the way to the Supreme Court, and there was a totally insane ruling. And it said, and this is standing case law, unfortunately, that it is illegal for someone to give classified information to the media, right? So if I work at the White House or the Pentagon or the Army and I have access to classified information and I give it to the New York Times, that is illegal. I can go to prison for that. However, what the court ruled was it's not illegal for the media outlet to receive the stolen classified information and print it. And in many instances, it can get people killed. And that's insane to me. I mean, think about this. That's like saying somebody robs a bank, they steal $1 million from the bank. That's a crime. They give you the $1 million. Not only are you not committing a crime by this standard, receiving the stolen money, but you can go out and spend the money too and enjoy it. That's crazy. And but unfortunately, that's the way the courts ruled. So what the Trump administration is doing is not trying to prosecute the media, although they should, for treason. They want to know their sources and prosecute them for the treasonous felonies they've committed by leaking classified information. They can get people killed, and maybe sometimes does. All right? And I think that's a pretty just thing for the Trump White House to do, don't you? All right, our number is 888-465-2631. It's a toll-free call, 888-465-2631. You're on the air. What's your name? Where are you calling from?
Afternoon, Brian. It's Dr. Knight out of California.
Hey, how are you?
I'm so infuriated with the way that that our men and women in ICE are being treated. It's absolutely ridiculous. I'm very grateful for POTUS stepping in and basically saying exactly what's going to be going on. The fact of the matter is that individuals who are illegal, who are obviously here for whatever, and if they don't actually respond appropriately to a lawful and legal vehicle stop, they should be considered to be basically they're a harm to the community. They shouldn't be driving if they're not able to read and speak English and comprehend English. Because guess what? Most of those commands on vehicle stops are given in English. Then they're considered.
Well, there's a way to
the community.
there's a I don't do this too much anymore, but Steve Kane and I, we used to do this a lot. The shoe on the other foot test. And you take something that the lunatic liberals are saying is okay, and you change the scenario, right? So their argument has been, in both Houston and Maine, these were just guys going to work. Well, they were in the work of doing a crime, right? Driving around illegals. But, if I'm committing a crime and I'm driving around, don't the cops have a right to stop me? And if I try to run them over, and don't they have a right to shoot me? It's only with their precious illegals do they think it's okay to try to run over the law enforcement officers for some reason. It makes no sense whatsoever.
It makes absolutely no sense whatsoever. If anybody ends up interfering with ICE, who are federal agents, okay, so they have law enforcement capabilities, then those people should be basically cited for federal crimes and have to go into a federal court. And if they do it over and over again, so be it. We end up putting them through the court system for breaking the law.
Absolutely.
A law enforcement officer should give you 1 or 2 commands to step away because you're interfering, and basically you're putting your own body and their body and the person that they're apprehending at risk. This situation has to stop. It is absolutely ridiculous. There is no other time that I could possibly remember where you have organizations, whether they're NGOs, whatever you want to call it, that have the ability to do signal chats, and they're out in the community and they're doing rapid response for what?
Exactly. All right, well, listen, I agree with everything you said. I'm going to move on, but I appreciate the call. And the rest of you want to hang in there. You think about that. When it comes to their precious illegals, they're entitled to, like the one Congresswoman said earlier, a certain number of murders because Americans commit murders. They're allowed to run over federal agents and other law enforcement if they're being pulled over on their way to work. I mean, the things that the liberals are saying, they haven't thought through too much. Pete Hegseth is going to go down as one of the most historic Secretary of War / Defense Secretaries in history. And if you think about it, how many Secretaries of War are remembered? And I'm not talking about name the ones you can remember, because the ones of recent presidents you may be able to remember. But I'm talking about the ones that go down in history. And there's only 2 others that I can think of that go down in history and are remembered. I'm not talking about, oh no, I remember Carter's defense secretary or Reagan's defense. I don't mean one that you can remember. I mean war secretaries or defense secretaries that are historical figures that are remembered decades later. I don't mean, oh yeah, Lloyd Austin. No, he was just his defense secretary with Biden. We all know. I'm talking about defense and or war secretaries that go down in the history books and are remembered. Pete Hegseth is going to be the 3rd. The first one is Stanton, who was the Secretary of War when Lincoln was assassinated, right? That's the one. And then there's one other, and President Kennedy's Secretary of Defense, who stayed over with Lyndon Johnson, McNamara. Remember McNamara, all right, for the Vietnam War. But none of the others are remembered as historical figures. And the only ones you really know about are the ones that you just remember because you were alive. But Pete Hegseth is going to go down with McNamara and Stanton. And he's going to go down in a very positive way, too, in the course of memory. The liberals that write the history books aren't going to write good things about him, but he is everything the woke mob hate, right? He's a man's man. He doesn't put up with any crap. And he's getting the military back in shape. And I remember on the Army's 250th birthday last year, and remember those soldiers that were marching in front of the grandstand with Pete Hegseth and the president? Some of them couldn't even march. Remember that? A lot of them were overweight. Oh my goodness. They were pissed Pete Hegseth was pissed. He made an announcement today. Listen to this. Oh my goodness. So testosterone testing is going to be a requirement for all military personnel over 30. Well, I guess the men. And if they're low on testosterone, the government's going to provide it for them. And coincidentally, I'll tell you more about this on the show when it happens. But next week, I'm getting my testosterone tested, so I may be starting testosterone therapy. I'll see what mine is. But one of the biggest problems that we have in the military is we don't have enough testosterone. And when you have a guy who's like a modern day John Wayne figure, like Pete Hegseth as the war secretary, and he's actually going to not only test the service personnel's testosterone levels, and under 30s can opt into it and have theirs tested, they're going to give them testosterone treatments to get their testosterone level back to the level it should if it's low. That's a pretty amazing thing. They're not going to like this, okay? The left, they're not going to. First off, the liberals don't like testosterone. That's the first thing. They hate testosterone. They hate anybody that, that has it, and they think there's too much of it out there. But that's what you want in the military. That's a pretty bold thing. And they're going to talk about military experiments and the Tuskegee experiments, and they're going to talk about how the Army radiated soldiers when they were testing nuclear weapons in the 40s and all that stuff. This is not that, okay? I mean, this is a routine thing that guys do. All right, let's go back to if you'd like to call in, the number's toll free. It's pinned in the live chat, 888-465-2631. You're on the air. What's your name? Where are you calling from? You're on the air. What's your name? Where are you calling from?
Oh, hey, Brian, how are you? This is Steve from New York. How are you?
All right, New York. What's up?
Not much. Listen, I really didn't expect you to pick up.
It's hard. It's hard for you to. It's hard to hear you. You gotta get your mouth a little closer to the receiver.
Listen, I'm gonna speak up. I really wasn't expecting your call.
I didn't call you. You called me. I didn't call you. You called me.
Brian, no, I didn't expect you to pick up. I'm sorry. I was on hold.
Oh, why do you think? Oh, okay.
All
All right.
second.
Okay.
Okay. Hey, listen. Steve from New York. I'm a self-interview Steve from New York. My mother is a long-time listener. She introduced me to you. We share the same beliefs.
There's a butt
I
coming.
listened to your last episode about the with Maine and all that kind of crap. You know, it's like the thing is, you know, President Trump can't trust anybody. I mean, he has Pete. He has Marco. Let's say I'm believing in Marco. So far, he's showing the truth. But he has Marcos to the point. He has a couple of people on his staff at Fox News, and he has family. Everybody else is a turncoat. I see it, you see it, and
What are you talking about? You mean you mean President Trump? Hold on a second. Hold on a second. Yeah, you're wrong. Are you telling me that President Trump cannot trust Pete Hegseth, Scott Bessent, the Treasury Secretary?
No, you misunderstood me. Brian, I'm on your end. No, he can trust Pete. He can trust Marco. He can trust
JD.
a few of the staff on Fox News. He can trust his family. But we see the other stuff that goes on. Like the news center that just came in with the whole thing that we were just talking about when Maine, I forget, whatever, is it Maine West, whatever. I mean, a lot of them are turncoats. We know that.
Yeah.
And I know he knows that. He sees it.
Yes.
I trust him.
They're corrupt. Most of them are corrupt. Yeah, they're corrupt. They're corrupt. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, that's all I wanted to say. You know, Brian.
So what does that mean? No, slow down for a second. Yeah, most of the politicians are corrupt. You know, most of them are. Yeah. You know, that's why. I mean, think about it. Lindsey Graham, when he died, his net worth was like $2 million, and that's
Did
what.
you really trust him, Brian?
I always said. This is what I always said about Lindsey Graham.
Yeah.
You could always trust Lindsey Graham to be Lindsey Graham, and he was very consistent. And but when he died, and his net worth came out, his net worth was around $2 million, and that's a higher net worth than most Americans. However, he's poor by the standards of Congress, right? And I mean, think about it. So it's an actual news story that he's a millionaire, but he's only a $2 million millionaire, not worth $80 million like Schumer. I mean, that's how corrupt they are. Absolutely.
You're making me laugh now, crying Chuck. Yeah, crying Chuck. You're making me laugh now. Yeah, $2 million
is poor by their standards.
That $2 million. Let's put it that way.
How many of you wish you were worth $2 million? And it's a news story that he's only worth $2 million. He's poor.
Isn't that crazy?
Yeah.
I only see that probably if I retire in the next 6 years, possibly.
But you know what though? That's not new. You know, it's always been that way. I mean, look at George Washington, right, and Thomas Jefferson, great founding fathers. But think about it. The first and third president, right? George Washington. Now somebody will leave me some snarky comment that he wasn't. But he was the richest man in the colonies. Thomas Jefferson was one of the richest men in the colonies. You think it's just a coincidence that the richest man in the colonies led the army and was the first president? And they built the capital city right up the river from his house in Virginia? I don't think so. So there's always, since George Washington, there's been financial corruption. That's what makes President Trump so unique. He's the first first president to not be corrupted.
Yeah, right. I don't interrupt you. He's the real deal. Trust me.
Mm-hmm.
And now listen, I've trusted his. You are a little beyond on your head. I listened to you. I've been listening to you a lot lately, the last couple of months.
Well, thank you.
You're definitely a historian.
Thank you.
I've studied my Revolutionary War, all that kind of stuff. Actually, Donald Trump, if I may say, Donald Trump acknowledged my family on the 255th anniversary of the Army.
Cool. How'd that happen?
Yeah.
How'd that happen? Tell me about
that. Dr. Joseph Warren, he called my brother out.
Wow.
My niece out.
That's awesome.
And acknowledged. Now, if you want to send me a direct email, I'll send you the POV clip. I was right there.
Oh, I believe you.
The back windows. Yep. Dr. Joseph Warren from Roxbury, Massachusetts, the first Masonic Grand Master.
Mm-hmm.
He was before George. He was in 1975, before George. But he was part of the whole thing with Sam Adams and George and Paul Revere, all that. He was part of that whole group.
Cool.
I mean, listen, I'm like this SFjr, whatever.
Mm-hmm.
But Well, we have a family history up here in Saratoga, New York. Battle Saratoga, that's where my grandfather, that's where we're from.
Mm-hmm.
And
Well, that's cool.
I mean, I'm just trying to tell you, I believe the same ideology you do. We all do.
Mm-hmm.
You're more of a historian than I am. You're a little bit more educated in that area, but I do study history.
Well, that's awesome.
But as far as George Washington, if I remember right in my studies, George was the first one that said he did not want to have divided parties because that would divide the country. Am I correct if I'm wrong? I remember.
I don't know. I hear a lot of things like that, but you can't have one party rule. I mean, the country's too big. It's never going to be that way. But listen, I gotta move on. But it's good to hear from you, and thanks for tuning in. All right, you take care. All right. Oh, I hit the hang up. We had one more thing. As I already hit the button. I'm sorry. Next call. That's it. If you're on hold, hang in there. I'm going to take a quick break, and when we get back, there's more to share. I want to talk about Tom Laporta over at Laporta Roofing. Tom Laporta is amazing. He's a good MAGA guy who will never sell you a roof you do not need, meaning that if you need just a simple repair, Tom Laporta will do it. Have you ever heard of another roofing contractor that says that? Never. I have never heard another roofer say they will not sell you a roof you do not need. They're all trying to sell you roofs you don't need, except Tom Laporta at Laporta Roofing. If you need just a simple repair, he will do it. And I have talked to many listeners in this audience who thought they needed a new roof, and they didn't. They just needed a repair. And that's amazing. Tom Laporta covers both the east and west coast of Florida and everywhere in between. Give him a call. This number rings directly to Tom Laporta's cell phone, so you can call or text 954-604-4602. 954-604-4602. And online, LaportaRoofing.com. Now, when you go to LaportaRoofing.com, the number there is his office phone, not his cell phone. You can call the office too, but if you want to get the owner directly, call or text on his cell phone, 954-604-4602. 954-604-4602. We'll be right back. All right, free shipping going on. And, Mike Lindell at MyPillow, he got the endorsement of President Trump today. By the way, he's running for governor of Minnesota. President Trump endorsed him. And he's been a longtime sponsor and supporter of everything that I do here. So please go to MyPillow.com. Use the promo code Kane at checkout, Kane, for huge savings. And, I have all of these products. The pillows, the mattress toppers, everything, and they are spectacular. So go to mypillow.com, promo code Kane, Kane, for huge savings. You can also order by phone, toll-free, 800-716-4879. 800-716-4879. Promo code Kane, Kane. You're on the air. What's your name? Where are you calling from?
Hey, Brian, Doc from Texas.
Hey, Doc. What's up?
Hey, man, I see Trump superseded his own people. He needs to, I don't even know what to say no more. He superseded his own people. They told him no more traffic stops so they get it together. And so he decided he's going to do what, I'm not cuss. He's going to do whatever he wants to do.
Well, this is just online, so you can cuss a little bit, okay? We're not on the radio right now, so I don't have to be as restrictive with the profanity.
Anyway, I'm trying to,
you don't have to cuss, but you can.
I'm not gonna cuss. I'm really trying to do good with that.
So slow down for a second, because walk me through this. President Trump superseded his own people. What are you talking about?
Because Mark Mullin said that he was going for temporary. They was going to stop doing the traffic stops until they get it all together. And Trump decided.
Correct.
So he's going to do it anyway.
Correct.
So he needs to listen. That's why he has people in place. He needs to let his people do their job.
Who's the
boss?
Who's the boss?
Yes, and that's
Trump,
why it's,
the president.
And he needs to. The problem is he needs to. Okay, he needs to let those people do their job. Say, Mr. President, we got.
Yeah, he told them. He did. He told ICE to do their jobs. So I'm a little confused, Doc. Okay, because maybe you have a different outlook than I do. Maybe you understand civics and American government better than I do. Are you telling me that the President of the United States, I thought they were the chief executive, but you're telling me that they should let the cabinet tell them what to do? So should Pete Hegseth decide when we go to war and when we don't go to war?
No, Chief has not President Brian. What I'm saying is Mark Mullin decided that they was going to do that, and Trump should have said, okay, I trust you. That's why I have you there.
He made a mistake.
Get it together.
He made a mistake.
No,
Mark Wayne Mullin made a mistake.
Okay. We're not gonna agree on this.
So you think illegals should be able to try to run over federal agents and run away from law enforcement? I don't understand.
It wasn't proved. It was not proven, Brian.
It was.
Put the body cameras on them.
They didn't. I got an eyewitness.
We're not gonna go through this.
I want to play. I want to play the eyewitness when I'm done talking with you. There's an eyewitness.
Okay. Another thing too. What was that? I want to tell you. Why can't y'all MAGA? Why can't y'all come to the realization Trump lost the election in 2020 and then stop? But you don't make yourself look stupid when you're afraid.
So okay, that's interesting. So when on Inauguration Day, when Willie Brown's girlfriend Kamala Harris and Joe Biden were sworn in,
Pamela, please say her name right. Brian.
Willie Brown's girlfriend, Kamala Harris.
Kamala Harris, the Vice President of the United States of America.
No, J.D. Vance is the vice. No, J.D. Vance is the Vice President of the United States.
Pamela was Vice President then.
Okay,
y'all really need to stop.
When they were sworn in on Inauguration Day, what did President Trump do?
He got like a big baby left. Like a big baby.
Well, no. That's what he's supposed to.
Inauguration. No,
yeah.
He's supposed to stay for inauguration. Like
no, he doesn't have to. He left the White House.
Oh,
okay. So he left Washington. He left the White House and ceded power.
Because he didn't have a choice.
So what's your
beef?
Well, then he did what you said he should do.
My beef is with y'all MAGA people. Y'all still think he won in 2010 and he didn't. So stop saying it, Brian. Y'all really come to realize he lost. He did. It's done.
We're gonna find out. We're gonna find out. Oh, it's 6 years ago. Like that's a long time ago. We're gonna find out tomorrow night.
That's not gonna be proven tomorrow night. He's just gonna go with that. Nothing's gonna be proven, Brian.
Oh, so you've got a sneak preview that the White House has given you what the announcement's going to be?
Ain't nothing gonna come out of that, Brian. He's just bull crapping, Brian. Nothing's gonna come out of that, Brian. He lost.
Let me ask you a serious question. Forgetting about take Trump out of the mix. What is it about Republicans before Trump that makes you not support them?
I did not say support. I actually voted for a Republican.
Really? Who's the last Republican you voted for?
Our mayor.
Who?
Our mayor.
A mayor doesn't count.
I voted for him twice.
Mayors don't count.
It's a Republican.
No. I mean, I'm talking about like Congress, a governor, a president. Have you?
Because I don't like none of our governors were we voted for. I didn't care for them.
Why don't you like?
Let me finish.
Yeah.
Let me finish.
Hold on one second. Let me answer these other lines that are coming in. Okay, the phones are ringing. No, I want to try to find out what your beef is with Republicans. Forgetting about Trump.
I'm not beef with Republicans, Brian. Brian, I
But
don't have a
everything,
beef with Republicans.
every position you take is against what the Republicans are doing. I mean, listen, I want to hear your thoughts on
I
this.
don't have a
You're
beef.
in
I have a
Texas.
beef with Trump,
Hold on a
Brian,
second,
because
Doc.
Trump is
Hold on,
destroying this country.
Doc. You're calling me from Texas. Texas was on the front line of the border invasion, right? With people at the southern border of Texas being victimized every day with illegals. You don't think it's a good thing that that stopped?
Brian, yes, it did. But Brian,
So that's a good thing. So Trump did a good thing.
I don't hate. See, that's what you don't understand. I don't hate Republicans. I don't like what Trump is doing, and I'm not.
What's he doing? What is he doing that you don't like?
Everything. He's lying every day.
No. What? Give me his policies. Give me a policy of his that you don't support.
Because his policy is the people are look like me and your daughter, and hopefully your daughter grandchildren one day. He wants all of us out the country. He doesn't.
He wants to deport black people.
Yes, he can, because he doesn't like black people.
Come
Brian.
on.
He doesn't like.
Come
he
on.
doesn't like black people.
Come
he
on.
doesn't like women.
I asked you. You just made that.
Like
You just made that up. I asked you to give me a policy of President Trump's that you don't support. He is not advocating the deportation of black people. You just made that up.
Yes, he is, Brian. He is black and
What are you? What
is
are you really Doc from Texas, or are you really Sonny Hostin from The View calling me? 'Cause, I mean, you're just making up racist crap.
And I love Sonny Hostin.
I'm talking about a real policy. I'm talking about a real policy, not something you've imagined or made up.
The policy, Brian. The policy of Iran. We don't even need to be there. We don't even need to be there. Most presidents, it's so much, Brian. You know what? I know you try to say I don't know what I'm talking about, but I know. But actually, Brian, I think you're a good person. I really think you're a good person.
I am a good person.
You do to keep your clicks up. That's how you make your money.
What are you talking about?
At the end of the day.
What are you talking about?
At the end of the day, because your show's right now. Ain't you making money on your show right now?
Absolutely. That's what I do for a living. I get to talk to idiots for a living, like you.
So okay, I'm an idiot. That's fine.
Well, because you said something. Isn't that how we feed ourselves? How am I supposed to live? Don't you make money?
You go get it. Yep. And I'm told you make your money, bro.
Yeah. If I'm on his coattails, how was I doing this 35 years ago? I've been doing this since I was 19 or 20 years old.
Because you latched on to the latest thing, and you latched on to Trump. Because you know he's the hottest thing, and you know where you at. You know how people feel. And so it is what it is, bro. Make your money, dog.
How did I, when I first started doing this on the air, George Bush the father was president. Then we had 8 years of Clinton. And it's a funny thing. Every time there's a president, okay, whoever the president is, right? Bush, Clinton, Bush 2, Obama. I get calls from liberals, and it's all, for 35 years, they always say this: what are you going to do when George H.W. Bush isn't president anymore? Then 8 years go by. What are you going to do when Bill Clinton's not president anymore? What are you going to do when G.W. is not president? What are you going to talk about when Obama's not president? I hear this every presidency from liberals.
You still talking about him.
Because I cover the news and talk about news and politics.
You're making your money. I'm saying make your money.
Yes,
make your money, bro.
yes. It's called a career. It's called a career.
I love you. I applaud your career. I hope you're successful in it. I hope you can retire and live. You and your wife, you can go on a beach somewhere and enjoy your life.
The beach is right down the street from my house, and I've got this beautiful studio in my home. So I'm kind of retired now.
Well, enjoy it, bro. Enjoy it.
I am.
Take your wife on a cruise somewhere.
Yeah.
Enjoy it.
So now that we've all buddied up, okay. So you believe that Iran should be able to have a nuclear weapon?
No, I don't.
Then you agree with President Trump. You agree with President Trump then?
I don't agree with President.
Yes.
He never brought himself there, Brian.
He says they shouldn't have it.
I gotta go back to work.
You got to go back to work. Yeah, you got to go back to work. Yeah. Goodbye. Oh my goodness. I tell you, he agrees with President Trump. You know, most people that don't like Trump, they really like him. They just don't like him based on a lot of things that aren't true. Now, I want to play. I played this this morning. I played this yesterday, and it's very important. This is an eyewitness to the ICE shooting in Maine. Okay? He's an eyewitness. He gave this interview right after the shooting. Okay? This is an eyewitness to the Maine ICE shooting. There you have it. I mean, so, you know, the guy, the ICE officer took out his weapon, gave him commands to stop. He didn't. He tried to run him over. This is the eyewitness. He was there right after. And the guy tried to run him over, so we shot him, and he saved his own life. What was he supposed to do? Get run over? My name's Brian. This is where MAGA comes to talk. We'll take a quick break and be back with more. If you'd like to call in, please do. The number's 888-465-2631. 888-465-2631. We'll be right back. All right, welcome back, everyone. I'm Brian, and this is the Brian Craig Show. Thanks for tuning in. And if you're new, welcome to the program and subscribe. And if everyone could please like the video, that helps a lot, guys. If you guys like the video, it gets the video recommended to people that have not yet found my channel. So please do me the favor of liking the video if you don't mind. President Trump, oh, he was just speaking. You know, President Trump, tomorrow night's going to be a big one. I mean, it really is. I don't know what it is for sure. There's all these rumors and everything. We'll find out for sure tomorrow night, but it'll be the talk of the nation Friday morning with me, no doubt. But here's the president. Yeah, I mean, you know, what the president's talking about here, he is so right about this election. You know, the Democrats have always been wrong, but you know, during the time of Bill Clinton, for example, the Democrats were really bad when Bill Clinton was president. I mean, there's no doubt about it. And Bill Clinton was a sexual predator, literally, not figuratively at all. I mean, you know, Lewinsky may have been consensual, but not everyone was. Juanita Broderick and Kathleen Willey and others, but. The Democrat policies of the Clinton era, for the most part, not all, but for the most part, the Clinton policies were like uber conservative ideas compared to now. I mean, what the Democrats have become now is a 100% Democrat party that is a communist party with everything that's going on. And, you know, that's one of the reasons liberating Cuba, which is finally going to happen, is so important because you know, it is going to happen because the president wants it to happen. And Marco Rubio, who's a Cuban American whose parents fled Cuba, you know, Marco Rubio is going to be the most historic Cuban American this country has ever had. And it is his mission to liberate Cuba. And it's going to happen. He was talking about it. Listen to this. This is back in May. See, yeah, and you know, and the thing about the liberation of Cuba, it's going to when Cuba is liberated, and media go to Cuba for the first time freely and show it, it's really going to wake up this country to communism and how evil it is, and that's not what the Democrats need right now because they're promoting communism. You're on the air. What's your name? Where are you calling from?
Hey, Brian, it's Steve from New York again.
No, it's one call per show.
All right.
So call me on another show, which could be tomorrow morning, it could be tomorrow afternoon, it could be on the weekend, but it's one call per show. That's basically the only rule I have, guys. I mean, you know, you got to have some rules, and that's certainly one of them. The rest of you on hold, hang in there. There's a few more things I want to get into so we can get the conversation going. You know, we don't know 100% what the president's going to talk about tomorrow night, but the Democrats, you heard it with Doc, and you hear it with the media. The Democrats think it has something to do with the election, and if you haven't noticed, they're in a panic. They're in a panic about whatever his announcement's going to be tomorrow night, but they're also in a panic about the Save America Act because they know the Save America Act is going to pass now. And this is Debbie Wasserman Schultz today. Okay, you know, this blows my mind. Now, Debbie Wasserman Schultz is a South Florida congresswoman. She's infamous down here, okay? And the Republicans in Florida, we did our redistricting a couple months ago. Her district no longer exists. She has been redistricted out of office, okay? So what she's done is she's running in a district a little bit north of her, in a part of town that she's never traveled in before. And she's running in a black district. And there are several candidates running, all of them black, including Luther Campbell from Two Live Crew, who's pretty popular there. Remember Two Live Crew? And she's running as the great white liberal savior. And she's out here calling Trump a racist. She's disenfranchising the black people in this black district because the black vote is split so much with these other candidates. She's favored to win because she's the only white person winning. So she's calling Trump a racist, but she has made sure, if she's successful, hopefully she won't be successful. I'd like to see her lose. But what she's trying to do is make sure a black person does not get elected in that House district, that she gets elected. And that district she's in is over 90% black. And she's running. And she's from the whitest part of South Florida, right? The whitest. There aren't even any Spanish speakers. To find an area in South Florida where there are no Spanish speakers is not an easy task. But Debbie Wasserman Schultz has done it. And she's calling Trump a racist while she's working hard to make sure a black person doesn't get sent to Congress. So who's the racist, Debbie? Oh, my goodness. But yesterday in the Oval Office, President Trump was talking about the Thursday night speech. Oh. He wanted to say it right there. You could tell. I mean, he really did not. He doesn't want to wait until Thursday. And I think he really wants to spill the beans now. You know, I was talking about Bill Clinton a little bit ago. Do you know how many Somalians were in the United States when Bill Clinton was elected the first time? 1,500. Some estimates are 1,200, but no more than 1,500. And now, I don't know how many millions there are. But if you went to Somalia, it's got to be an empty place now because everyone is left. And I came across this video today. I don't know if any of you have seen this, but I found this on X today. Here's a guy. He's in Ireland. And in Ireland, it's like Minneapolis. The Somalians, they've taken over Minneapolis and have all this control over Minnesota, but they've also taken over Ireland. And this is shocking. Look at this guy. This kid, he's in Ireland, made this video, posted it on social media. This is Ireland. This is Ireland. Pakistan. Crazy. I mean, isn't that crazy? It's really sad. So it's not just here; it's all over the world, you know. And what they've England, the UK, Ireland, probably gone, right? I mean, there's probably next to nothing that can be done to save it. And it's really, you know, and it's not that we're against immigration and legal immigration, but when you have uncontrolled and unregulated immigration, and you see here in Ireland, it's like here in this country, people come here from other countries, they find these back doors. Over there, it's Portugal. Over here, they claim climate change, and then they got let in. You know, can you imagine? And then they come here, and they don't learn the language. Those guys could barely speak English. They were like mumbling, right? They couldn't even hardly speak English. Yeah, yeah, Somaliland, you know, that's all they can say. They can't even say Portugal right? I mean, you know, they don't learn the language. They don't become a member of that country. They don't learn the culture. They assimilate it like the Borg. And that's why, you know, President Trump has done so much, but what he's really done is save Western civilization. And that's pretty shocking to me. I mean, you think it's just London. It's not. Now, 2 days ago was the 2-year anniversary of the day that the Never Trumpers tried to assassinate President Trump. And the widow of Corey, the firefighter who was killed by the assassin, she gave an interview to News Nation. Here she is. Wow. Her whole life has been not just altered, but revolved around Butler. So I'll play the whole thing. But Corey's widow believes that Butler was an inside job. What does that mean? Was the Secret Service involved? Was Homeland Security involved? The Biden administration made sure that President Trump had a weak Secret Service detail. Remember the one girl who couldn't find her holster? She couldn't holster her weapon after the shooting. Remember that? That's the quality of people they had there. Well, I mean that's crazy. Oh, by the way, thank you for the super chat. I appreciate that. I'm a bit I can't read the rest of it because it's cut off. But thank you for that $10 super chat. So she said she's been told things. So I'm assuming these are people that are in the know, right, in the government today that have told her some things that have led her to say that, hey, something's not right here, and that this was an inside job from the government. Pretty scary. So then he asked her, well, let me just rewind because I want to hear the whole thing. Wow. It's crazy, isn't it? Remember where you were when President Trump got shot in Butler, where you were at, where you were watching it, who you were with? For years, there's been nonstop, and a bipartisan thing that President Kennedy was killed through some conspiracy. And there's been different theories and different conspiracies. But Bobby Kennedy Jr., a couple years back did an interview, and I've seen him do 2 interviews about this, with Megyn Kelly, and he detailed the conspiracy behind the assassination of his father and his uncle, President Kennedy, and they were both taken out by the powers that be, the CIA, he said. And he said that it was all about Vietnam. He said his uncle was pulling out the advisors from Vietnam. He got shot and killed in Dallas. Johnson sworn in. The next day, Johnson escalated what we were doing in Vietnam. He said his dad was running, and his platform was getting us out of Vietnam. They killed him. He was expected to win the presidency. Nixon got elected. And, of course, Nixon escalated the war in Vietnam, right? So these are true things that have happened. And he gave if you haven't seen, there were 2 interviews Megyn Kelly did with Bobby Kennedy Jr. about the assassinations. And I know she's gone off the rails and is, a terrible person, but those interviews are the most detailed accounts I've heard from Bobby Kennedy about those assassinations. And he talked about his dad. His dad was actually, this is Bobby Kennedy. He says his dad was shot in the back by his own bodyguard, who was CIA. And he said, Sirhan, he said, Rosie Greer, there was an Olympian and a third man I can't remember, they saw the gun and grabbed him. And the gun was facing the ceiling, that it wasn't even pointed, and he goes through all the details of it. And everyone has accepted conspiracy in both parties, for both Kennedys, and Martin Luther King too. But with Trump, nothing to see here, move on, move along here, nothing to see here, no. This happened for a reason. And, that roof was so low that, the people standing on the ground saw it. Of course the Secret Service that were there saw it. And, Bobby Kennedy knows so much about the assassinations of his dad and his uncle because it's family and people tell him that are in the know over the years. And that's how he comes to those conclusions. Those are educated opinions that he has. Same thing with Corey's widow here. She said people tell her things and she can't reveal the details of that. And so she knows what Trump knows, or at least a lot of what Trump knows. And she believes that it was a government op to shoot the president in Butler. And doesn't everybody know that and accept that? Absolutely. I don't think there's any credible person that doesn't accept that. All right, my name's Brian. This is where MAGA comes to talk. I want to take a quick break. If you'd like to call in, please do. The number's toll-free, 888-465-2631. 888-465-2631. We'll take a quick break and be right back. All right, welcome back, everyone. And no matter where you're located, you can take advantage of that no-charge consultation. 561-743-0999. Give Jupiter Joe a call. All right, so if you're on hold, hang in there. If you'd like to call in, the number is pinned in the live chat, 888-465-2631. You're on the air. What's your name? Where are you calling from?
Hey, Brian, this is Sean from Massachusetts.
Oh, hey, Sean.
Well, this whole thing with Corey Compatore and Trump and Butler, it's all the same people. And, I remember the day it happened, and I called you. You went into the studio, an emergency studio.
I was on Saturday. Yeah, I went and did a Saturday evening show with the radio station. Yeah.
Yeah, And the first impressions and the stuff that was explaining to you, what I saw at first impressions of what people saw on the ground and everything, nothing adds up, of course. And I think that, you know, his widow has every right to dig into this, to keep it going. And this is, like you said, this is going to be a part of her life forever. And the same people are all involved in this. And I think, you know, when Kennedy got shot and his brother, they, you know, not just Vietnam, but the whole thing with the central bank and the gold reserve system, you know, and so many different agendas are associated with what happened back then. You know, anything that would help the American people.
And I'll tell you some proof that Trump is into the conspiracy. If you notice, with the death of Lindsey Graham, regardless of what you guys think about Lindsey Graham's death, whether it was natural or induced, look at what happened. When Lindsey Graham died, you had all of these rhino snakes trying to get that, you know, Nikki Haley and others, they were trying to get that appointment from the governor to replace Lindsey Graham in the Senate, and Trump got involved and got Lindsey Graham's sister to get the job because he didn't want any of those rhino snakes making the way in there.
Yeah, it was a smart move. See, that's the difference between Donald Trump and any other Republican or any Democrat president. Is that he thinks so far ahead of the game. He knows exactly what they were going to do.
Mm-hmm.
Because we can't have these snakes in our garden. It's not going to happen anymore. And with Donald Trump at the helm, it doesn't happen. He's not going to allow this. Everything he's been doing. I mean, look what he's doing. How he's handling the foreign affairs with Irene.
But you know what really blows my mind though is, you know, like we're talking about this you know, Corey's widow and the assassination, and somebody just left a comment on YouTube that all and you hear this all the time from the left. All of Trump's assassinations were fake and staged. None of them are real. And I guess they tell themselves that. How can you believe that? I mean, we got a dead man here and the widow on television. Trump set this up where he got shot by a marksman and then got a man killed and 2 others shot in the audience. Come on, I don't think so.
Well, it's simply because it's him, and they feel like, you know, the range left and all the haters. Of course, they're gonna say that because they're gonna say everything he does is fake and everything isn't real. It's just in general, all this other crap that they keep throwing, and they've been throwing it at him for years ever since he went down that escalator. They've been trying to delegitimize him no matter what happens. They just don't counter any sympathy. They're nothing for it, and you know what? And it's unbelievable that they can. You know, if this were anybody else, of course, you know, they'd be all, you know, they'd be headlining this and everything else. And I mean, everything that they try to do. This killer in Butler, what they did with him too, with his register. Look what they did. They tried to do with the Staunton thing, where they're trying to say it was a Republican that did it. You know, he registered just to vote for Nikki Haley to get the primary. You know, he did all these things, and then every Democrat everywhere is saying, "Oh, look, he voted Republican." No,
exactly.
This is what they were trying to do. Everything they could to take it off of them. Unbelievable.
Exactly. All right. Well, I appreciate the call. Yeah, take care. That's exactly right. Now, it's really when you watch where the left take over with their communists, and New York's been taken over by socialist and, you know, communists, right? Mamdani, and people flee. People they've been fleeing New York for years because of the lockdowns and all that. But since Mamdani has come in, wealthy people are leaving because of the taxation and everything. And what they're having is a millionaire drain. And the millionaires are the ones that are paying for everything. You know, it's kind of like what's going on in New York is financially is what happened when the Berlin Wall fell and the Soviet Union collapsed. People that were educated left, and they went to places all over the world, and they had what was called a brain drain in Russia, which they're still not recovering from, because they're like, why should we live in this third world country? We are smart, we're educated, we'll go and make money somewhere and get rich. And that's kind of what's happening in New York, not a brain drain, although these wealthy people do have a brain and are smart, but it's a financial drain because of all the wealth tax and all of that. And Kathy Hochul, she was on Good Day New York, the governor of New York, and she was asked about it, and she really looked like an idiot. But, you know, what do you expect? She's a Democrat, right? everything's Trump's fault, right? Nothing's her fault or mom. It's all Trump's fault. Okay, and what is she doing to stop it? You know, I don't know how people do it. You know, here in Florida, not only do we not have a state income tax, it's in the Florida state constitution that it's illegal. We cannot have a state income tax. But people that live in New York City, what they have going on is even worse than that, right? Because they have not just federal income tax and state income tax. In New York City, there's also a city income tax. And the reason that President Trump took away that deduction with the big Trump tax bill in his first term was to try to get these states to lift the state income tax, which is a big burden on people, and it's money the federal government's missing out on. You know, but doing away or lowering taxes goes against the grain of the liberals, and they can't get themselves to do it. But the problem they're having in New York is it's like what I told you with Russia. The successful people are leaving because they don't want to pay all the money to all the have-nots, and it's very difficult for Mamdani to redistribute the wealth when the people with the wealth have fled the state. Now, I was talking earlier with Doc. He called in, and I was asking him to try to articulate, you know, what policy. Give me a policy of President Trump's that makes you oppose him. And he made one up. He said that Trump wants to deport all of the black people. He actually said that earlier in the show. You can rewind it. I'm not kidding. He said that. And I said to him, and I told this to a liberal that called me on the morning show yesterday to go through. She didn't like Trump, and I asked her, and she gave all these reasons, none of which were true. And I told Doc today, I told the caller, the liberal girl the girl that called and thought there were 52 states. I told her the same thing I told Doc. The reasons that you hate Trump are not real. Okay, you hate Trump for a lot of reasons that have been made up by the left, things that he does not support and things he did not say. And that's so true. This interview went viral today. This guy's a billionaire who used to be a never Trumper, and he went on CNBC, and he may be the first case of someone recovering from Trump derangement syndrome. Yeah. You know, and what he said is true. It's like all these callers, when I ask, well, what is it about Trump's policies? You know, name his the people that don't like Trump, they don't like him because of a lot of things that they think he said that he never said. And things that policies that he supports that he doesn't support or proposed. And I think more of them realize that than let on. Certainly people that listen to this show, right? You know, people that listen to this program, I think that are liberal, they know they're wrong, but they're gaslighting themselves as usual. Jessica Tarloff on the View, she her job is to basically be the foil, the punching bag of everybody else, right? And I have not watched The Five or Jessica Tarloff in a long time. It's been so long. Last time I saw her was before she had this god-awful cosmetic surgery. I mean, look at her face. I mean, she looks like she's had a face transplant, really is what she looks like. And she's dumber than ever. She's talking about the ICE shooting in Maine and the other one in Houston. Okay. So this is, so she's turned ICE agents into professional stuntmen. So Jessica Tarloff is saying that, yes, these cars were going to run over the ICE agents, the guys that got shot. The car they're showing on the screen is the main car. And you can see 1, 2, 3, 4 bullet holes. And this ICE agent's a good shot. Look at that. And they're right over where the driver is straight on, which showed he was right in front of the car. She's saying, yeah, these Renee Good, the guy in Maine, the guy in Houston, yeah, they were going to run over the ICE officers, but it's not their fault. The ICE officers purposely got in front of the car, and so that they could shoot them. They put themselves in a position to get run over.
And I found that, quote, it is suspected that in many vehicle shooting cases, the subject driver was attempting to flee from the agents who intentionally put themselves in the exit path of the vehicle, thereby exposing themselves to additional risk and creating justification for the use of deadly force.
Okay, now, I mean, think about that. You're involved in a high-speed chase. You're following a car in Maine or a van in Houston in a high-speed chase. They're being erratic. It's a car filled with illegals, okay? They're refusing to pull over. You somehow get them to stop the vehicle. Maybe you've boxed them in, but you want to shoot one of them because you're like a serial killer or something. So you put yourself in front of their moving vehicle just so you can shoot them. Well, how do you know that you're going to hit them? And how do you know when you hit them that the car's going to stop? What if when they die, their foot goes down on the gas and they hit you? I mean, you would have to be a highly trained professional stuntman to put yourself in such a risky position. And even then, you might not make it. It's a high-risk thing to do, but that's her reality.
We saw this with Renee Good and by Officer Ross, and in these two instances. If in any way that is the practice of CBP, where those agents think, I just got to throw myself in front of that car or get in the way so that it looks like my life was in danger, and Taylor pointed out that the bullet holes do not seem like they were in danger from it, and that is not what is being reported. So that people are intentionally putting their body. No, I'm saying that there was like just throwing their bodies, not cars, but they get to need someone. I'm saying if that happens, it's in this report that if you know that you need to say I was a victim, I was acting in self-defense. You know what they want, and you know what the people in the car want? Everybody wants to go home that night. That's what they want. They don't want to shoot someone and have a good excuse.
By the way, she should get her facelift done by whoever did. What's her name here? I forgot her name. But she's had a good facelift, right? She's like 65 years old. She looks good. But Dana Loesch, she looks awful. You know, now with Jessica Tarloff, she's the liberal foil, no doubt about it. But does she believe this crap? What do you guys think? Does Jessica Tarloff believe what it is that she's saying? Or is she just saying what she thinks she has to say to get through the show because she's supposed to be the liberal foil? Martha McCallum, that's right, that's her name. Thank you in the chat room. Martha McCallum was having a lot of problems with aging. She's in her 60s, and she was having a lot of problems with her neck, and she was doing everything to cover up her neck. And then about a year ago, she had some really good cosmetic work, and it was a full facial and neck facelift, and they did pretty good. Whoever is her cosmetic surgeon, I'm sure it cost her a fortune, did a great job, and that's who Jessica Tarloff needs to go see. But this argument that they're making, I saw this entire segment on the 5 this morning online, you know, and he was just going to work, and then the ICE agent put himself in front of the car. It's hard for me to believe that someone who's on television can be that stupid. But then again, she is a Democrat, so you never know. By the way, guys, if you are new to the program, welcome. Make sure that you subscribe. You know, I'm live every weekday morning and weekend mornings, okay? I'm live every morning, 7 days a week. And when I'm in the studio, like I am now, I'm always taking live calls on the program like I've been doing today. So make sure you subscribe and click that notification bell, because then you'll get a notification when I go live. And I'm 7 days a week every morning. And I'm also live most every afternoon during the week as well, all right? And those of you that are already subscribed, if you could do me the favor of liking the video, guys. When you like the video, that is so helpful and powerful, because what happens when you like the video is the video gets recommended to people that have not yet found my channel, and that helps me out a lot. Now I'm going to take a quick break, and when I get back from the break, I'm going to go through a little bit more of what Todd Blanche had to suffer through today. All right. If you'd like to call in, please do. The number is toll free, 888-465-2631, 888-465-2631. We'll be right back. All right, we're back. I'm Brian. Thanks for tuning in, everyone. You know, that first truck driver, the illegal truck driver, he killed 3 people here in Florida. He got sentenced yesterday to just over 4 years. Can you imagine? He's in the country illegally, right? He's illegally driving a semi-truck on the road, interstate. He kills 3 Americans. He gets 4 years. What's that about? At least he's doing some time, but it's not enough. You know, I mean, everything about the guy was illegal, and it really woke the country up to something that I don't think most people knew. And that was how many illegals were on the roads. And, you know, since that happened, that crash was in Florida, on the Florida Turnpike. Since that happened, when I drive on the Turnpike or I-95 here in Florida, I've seen the Florida Highway Patrol, the Florida State Troopers. I never see one of the troopers not pulling someone over, and it is almost always a truck that would require a CDL license. Here in the state of Florida, they have really been cracking down. They're pretty much stopping every truck, it seems to me, and checking the drivers. And they've been doing that since that happened. And I don't know how many truckers they've caught doing that, but they have. And you know, and not only because of the loss of life, because they're not properly trained and they don't know how to drive. You know, the jobs that they've taken, right? Because I remember when I was young, you used to see these ads all the time for truck driver. Be a truck driver, become a truck driver. And the illegals have been taking those jobs. And the jobs that Americans can get, the salaries aren't what they should or could be because they got the illegals coming after them. And we've heard stories about illegals driving, the Haitians in Ohio, and they don't know how to drive. When I go to Miami, you can see it. When I go down to Miami on I-95, and you know, a caller on the morning show today, she called and asked, how did I learn how to drive? And the way I learned how to drive, I wouldn't say anyone really taught me, but I watched my parents my whole life. And when I got my first car and driver's license, I was 17. My parents made me wait. They didn't let me get a car when I was 16. I was so pissed, but it was probably a smart thing, right? But when I got my first car and was driving at 17, I was driving home to school and to my job I had at the time, but in the neighborhood that I lived. So I'd been driving in that neighborhood as a passenger with my parents for years. You know, and then I did have a restricted driver's license where I had to have an adult in the car. So I would drive around with my parents in the neighborhood. So by the time I was, you know, driving on my own, I knew the rules of the road. And you go into Miami where there's a lot of illegals in Miami. You can tell they don't know how to drive because they've not grown up down here. They came here and just were given a driver's license and a car, you know. And I had a guy a few months ago. I think I talked about this on the show when it happened. I was pulling out of a gas station and I was waiting to make a left turn. And this was a big left turn. I had to go across 4 lanes of traffic and there were cars coming in both directions. And I was just about to go. This guy behind me just swerved around me and cut me off. And he had a Haitian flag bumper sticker in his rear window. And the guy, it's not that the guy was a jerk. He didn't know the rules of the road because he wasn't properly taught how to drive. He came here from Haiti, I'm guessing, and gave him a driver. Who else would do something so stupid? He could have caused a multi-car accident there. Luckily, I'm a skilled driver. And I was able to avoid it and hit the brakes quickly. But that's what is going on with these truck drivers. They're not just taking jobs, they're killing people. I saw a story earlier this week where a truck driver in another state killed some Americans. It happens all the time. Well, the president made some comments about this just a little while ago. Listen to this. Wow. Yeah, that's great. You know, I mean, that's and you know what they'll do is not only make the road safer, but they'll make being a truck driver the kind of career that you can have again, and make a living and support your family with, which you've not been able to do because they've driven the wages down so much. This is really a good thing, and I don't think maybe people that work in the trucking industry knew, But I don't think people generally had any idea how many of the truck drivers were illegal and illegally driving. We used to hear these stories of giving driver's licenses to illegals all the time in the liberal states, and they've been pushing for that since the 90s. And then, of course, the motor voter bill. But we've been hearing about these stories for years. And think about how many people are dead in this country because of Democrats, just from the driver's licenses. It's really crazy. And the Democrats, they just don't care. All right, if you'd like to call in, the number is pinned in the live chat. Let's go. You're on the air. What's your name? Where are you calling from?
Yes, this is Steve of Staten Island.
Hey, Steve, what's up?
Okay. The thing is when you were talking about the people with the driver's license, my wife and I were in an accident, and the thing was the driver was a good driver, and the thing is the woman ran a red light and hit us sideways. But the problem was that even though he was a great driver and such, he didn't have an American license. He had a Jamaican or one or the other, like, the license. So there was a little problem on that.
Well, yeah. I mean, that's how it is. I mean, it's bad news.
Mm-hmm.
You get in these situations. I got to tell you, when I go to other states, I usually don't drive or get a car.
Right.
Because I don't know the town, I don't know the roads, I don't know all the little things that you know when you live in a town. Sometimes I do, but not too much. And
that's where you get that's where you get the taxi or the bus where they know it's their place, they know it.
Exactly. And the idea that without any proper training, you get behind an 18-wheeler is crazy. I wouldn't drive an RV. I've never driven an RV. I'm not qualified. And I've grown up in Florida, right? If I went up north, I wouldn't drive during the winter. I'd be a death trap on the road if I were to drive in the winter up in New York with the snow and the ice.
Exactly.
I wouldn't know what to do.
Exactly. That's the thing is you got to be careful with the seasons as well, and also driving in a hurricane or a downpour. Forget it.
Exactly. It's different. In Florida, we know how to do that. Yeah, exactly. And you bring people here from other countries that didn't grow up with cars, and they have zero experience even as passengers, really, and you give them driver's licenses, and you're giving them CDL licenses, and they're driving commercial vehicles. It's insane.
Yeah. That's the problem. Okay, maybe he does know how to drive, and that's fine. But when you're not having a U.S. license and you're in an accident, you're in trouble, no matter how good of a driver you are.
Yes.
That's the problem.
That's right. Well, Staten Island, it's good to hear from you. Thanks for calling.
Okay, take care.
All right, take care. Yeah, if you want to call in, the number's toll free, and it's pinned in the live chat. 888-465-2631. 888-465-2631. It's a toll-free call. So Tom Blanche, he's going through his confirmation hearing, and it's so ridiculous. I mean, he's going to get approved. First off, he went through the Senate last year to be Deputy Attorney General, so he's already gone through the confirmation process. But the Democrats got to get their digs in, and she's the worst. Listen to that, Hirono. What kind of question is that, right? It's one thing when they ask ridiculous questions from false accusers, but I've never heard a question like this. Let's listen to it again and hear Todd Blanche's response. Okay, and the have you ever heard anything like that before? I mean, this is that's some pretty outside the box liberal perversions going on there. But the thing with that is it implies that you've done something wrong, right? It implies you've done something wrong because she's asking you about all of these hardcore sexual violations that you've had nothing to do with, and what they do on the left is it's like they want to kick someone. It's like they're a mob, right? And they got to tar and feather someone. So, somebody who comes in, they're a Republican, so they ask them these questions and they tar and feather them and try to humiliate them. That's what it's all about. And it's so pathetic. And, obviously we don't like all the Republicans because we got a lot of rhinos in there. But for the most part, the Republicans, they ask appropriate questions that involve the person. They don't go in there to slander them, even when they're a Democrat. And that's all the Democrats are about, is about slandering people. But with that in mind, I meant to play this. Hold on, let me pull this up, because I just reminded myself of this Amy Coney Barrett thing, which I was going to get to this morning. Let me pull this up, and I didn't get to it. And it's bad. Let me pull this up. Amy Coney Barrett should resign from the Supreme Court of the United States because she no longer is a fair and impartial member of the court. She's been totally compromised. Let me see, where did I put this? Because I was going to play it this one. Just bear with me because it's right. I just saw it. Let's see, is it here? I'm looking for the video of it. If I don't have the video, I'll just tell you. But I think I got the video here. Okay, yeah, hold on. I got to cue it. I'll cue up the video. She went to Congress yesterday with Kagan, and they went there telling Congress how much money that they want for security. So they went there for a whole security budget thing. And of course, so they got to tell all the stories of all the threats they're getting. And one of the things they left out is all the threats that they were getting were coming from Democrats, right? The Democrats. And the Democrats have been threatening the members of the Supreme Court since the Roe v. Wade decision came down. And they've been swatting them and doing everything else. And, we've got a major problem with left-wing political violence in the country. And the violence always comes from the left. At least it is now, all of it. The Supreme Court threats, the assassination attempts on the president, it's all from the left. And what's crazy about the left with all of this is they really believe that the Republicans deserve it. That's what blows my mind. Okay, yeah, here it is. I found the video. So let me pull this up. And this is Amy Coney Barrett yesterday. Yeah, the microphone. She's interpreting the Constitution. She can't even turn on the microphone. Now remember, she's the one who gave President Trump COVID, Amy Coney Barrett. She almost killed the president in his first term. See, so she's been intimidated. She's afraid of the left. And that's probably why we got that birthright citizenship decision the other day. That was out of character for her. because she's scared of the left, and she's making rulings based on how the liberals are going to react, how the mob are going to react. She really needs to be removed from the Supreme Court because she's been compromised. There's an impeachment process, but maybe they could let her resign, but she is not an impartial jurist. She's totally compromised, totally intimidated, and she's going to make rulings based on the mob because she's afraid of them. Pretty sad, but it's true. You're on the air. What's your name? Where are you calling from?
Hey, good afternoon, Brian. This is Nick out of Baltimore.
Hey, Nick. What's up?
South. Hey, I agree with you. Amy Coney Barrett should resign. She's compromised.
Absolutely.
But I wanted to throw something out. Did you cover? I tuned in late. Unfortunately, I was getting something together here. Did you cover the story? You know, none of the networks except Fox over the air are carrying the president's address tomorrow. Fox News will carry it.
I don't know if I don't know if that. I know I haven't talked about them not carrying it, but you know, if they're not going to carry it, all they're going to do is drive people to the places that are carrying it, because they you know, people want. First off, it's been announced it's going to be something big, so people want to see it, and the other thing is people want to see what they're not allowed to see, but it tells you that they think it's going to be something. This is why they're not carrying it. They don't want their people to hear it.
They're scared to death.
Yes.
They're scared to death.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and they figure if it's not on their air, people aren't going to be aware of it. That's pretty crazy.
They think we're stupid. You know. And I just wanted to throw that out there.
Yeah, I mean, so that probably, what it is exactly, we don't know. It's been rumored to be about the election, and maybe it is. But we really don't know for sure.
It's going to be big because he's dropping hints all over the place, and but I think really he made that announcement about it being Thursday night, tomorrow night, just to see what the networks would do.
Mm-hmm.
And so far, the only over-the-air network that's going to take it is Fox. And ABC has pushed back on it, NBC and CBS. So I'm surprised it's CBS because they want that merger to go through. So
when the leak first happened, and who knows? We usually find out what the president's going to say before he says it. Usually the White House will leak it out. So, you know, they may start leaking it out during the day tomorrow, and I hope they do in the mornings, so I can talk about it, because I'm desperate. You know, I'm desperate to know what it is, because the suspense is killing me. You know, I mean, I really want to know. But when it first leaked 2 days ago, they said the president was going to be there with Todd Blanche and other senior officials that involved national security, the director of national intelligence, that it was going to be about the election, and he was going to have federal law enforcement and intelligence officials with him. So if that's what it is, I'm imagining it's going to be evidence that he's going to be presenting.
Yeah, and I can't wait. You know, I want to mention one other thing before I go, and it ties into what you were talking about this morning with these liberals. I've noticed something, and to go on with what you're talking about, the liberals have really become really unhinged and out of control. I mean, it's gone beyond even the profanity. They're making threats over the air and stuff, and I am really uncomfortable with that. That's how dangerous this stuff has become.
It's scary.
And,
I mean,
it's unnerving.
It's scary, and I'll tell you, it's scary for people like me and others. You know, I mean, the left, they feel so justified in their violence.
They're emboldened.
Yeah, and Comey got away with it, so why shouldn't they?
Well, yeah, they're emboldened by the rhetoric of the Democrats like Schumer and all these evil left-wing Democrats, and the media. Don't forget the media. Mm-hmm. The media is emboldening them. And I've heard of people on MSNBC make threats over the air against President Trump's life and his family's life. The last time Chris Matthews was on that ill-fated network that has now changed its name.
Yeah.
I called them MS Never Now.
Yeah.
But he made a threat against Trump because he has never been on after that.
Well, yesterday I was talking about there was
surprised.
a man arrested in Rochester, New York, for threatening Don Jr. And what this guy I talked about yesterday, what this guy did was insane. So Don Jr. is doing his show, and he's in the live chat threatening his life in the live chat using his real name. And then he started doing his own live stream at the same time and was verbally showing his face, threatening his life. And other than me, I haven't seen anybody report that story. And it's the second threat against the Trump family. Ivanka, there was an arrest. A man was going to blow up Ivanka's house 2-3 weeks back. And now this one. I've never seen threats made against the children of presidents before. This is a new low.
No, and I keep hearing about and no one is reporting it. You're right. None of the networks, they don't want you to know about it. And I keep hearing, well, there have been threats made against President Obama. There were never any threats against President Obama. You know how I know? Because if there were, it would be 24/7.
Yeah, and President Trump has had more assassination. This is not an exaggeration. President Trump has had more assassination attempts against him than all of the other presidents combined.
Exactly. And thank God that he's been protected and protected divinely.
Well, like this thing with Don Jr. Okay, with this guy was pretty hardcore, and also this Mexican illegal who plotted the assassination attempts at the UFC fight a couple weeks back. That was a huge plot where they were planning on killing hundreds, if not a couple thousand, including the president and the cabinet. Yeah. And these are all suppressed.
What about the correspondence dinner?
Yeah, I mean, just in the last month or two, there's been 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, just off the top of my head, in the last 2 months, 5 assassination attempts. The Iranians last week, is one of them. I mean, it's endless.
Yeah, I know. It's very unnerving. Anyway, great show, and I'll get out of the way.
All right, I appreciate the call. I wanted to play this. This is, anytime a Republican gets elected, Democrats threaten to leave the country. And they never do, except this last time. A lot of them left the country when Trump got elected to his second term. And a lot of them have returned. And I saw this today. This is a transgendered man who fled the United States because he thought he was going to be, I don't know what he thought. He's crazy. But he left the United States and went to the paradise of the Netherlands. And he thought as a transgendered individual that he would be safer in the Netherlands than in the United States under Trump. So here he is being interviewed on the news in the Netherlands. Listen to this. It wasn't the transgendered paradise he thought it was going to be. Wow. What's not good about being transgendered in America? I mean, people may not agree with it, but they're not out there, discriminating or threatening you because of it. But he's afraid he's going to be killed because the Muslims have taken over the Netherlands, like the other countries of Europe. You saw they showed the signs there in Arabic and everything else. And it's really interesting because, these liberals like this transgendered guy in the Netherlands, they're realizing, like those World Cup players a few weeks back, they're realizing how great the United States is and how tolerant Americans are. And they've been brainwashed into thinking that we're not tolerant So they go to these other countries and they find out, well, you don't have freedom here, and they want to kill you here because of these things. And maybe he doesn't have enough money to make it back, but maybe he can get a crowdfunding campaign going. But Rosie returned home, right? Didn't Ellen DeGeneres return home? And now this trans man is desperate to get back home to the United States. You know, I feel bad for this guy to a certain extent. I know a lot of people may not, but I kind of feel bad for him because he's been so brainwashed by the left. The Democrats have convinced him of such an alternate set of facts and reality, and he has this idea of what the country is, and the country is nothing like he's been brainwashed into thinking. And he goes somewhere else and he finds out that America is the greatest country in the world, doesn't he? Absolutely. Here's another clip of Todd Blanche today in the Senate hearing. This one is with Cory Booker. What a jerk Cory Booker is. I forgot about Cory Booker. We don't hear from him too much anymore. Oh my goodness. Yeah, you know, it's what I said. They've got to tar and feather every Republican that comes through. And you know, these clips I played on the show today of Todd Blanche with these Democrats, not one of them asked him a single question of substance. Right? Oh, have you ever made an unwanted sexual advance? This party you went to, was it approved by the ethics people? Or, you know, they didn't ask him about any of the arrest or Comey or anything, right? All they did was throw dirt, because that's all the Democrats see. And this is why the Democrats are fading away. You know, the Democrats got a lot of problems, right, with the Democrat socialist on their tail. But one of the biggest problems that the Democrats have is they don't have a responsible leader anymore, right? They don't have a Bill Clinton. There's not one credible, charismatic person in the Democrat Party that, you know, Obama's doing a lot of things behind the scenes, but what Obama's doing behind the scenes is working with the Democrat Socialists. The whole Democrat Socialist of America is Obama. That's why so many of them are Muslim, right? So he's not leading the Democrats behind the scenes. He's leading the DSA, the Democrat Socialist of America, to bring down the Democrat Party. So the Democrat Party itself doesn't have a single credible person that's a leading voice in it. And it's really a sad thing when you think about it. Not that I want to save them. I'm not talking about saving them. But what has happened to the Democrat Party? Where have all of the credible people gone? Because over the years, while the Democrats have always been wrong and they've always had these, you know, crazy positions like on abortion and the border and things, there's always been some sense of rationality. And, you know, and a lot of what's happened with the Democrat Party, it's this woke stuff, right? They have too many foreigners that have not assimilated that have gotten elected to Congress. They have feminized men so much and have been appointing people to leadership positions in the party because they mark a box. And now what they're experiencing years into it is the total downfall of their party. So we got to savor it. All right, let's go. You're on the air. What's your name? Where are you calling from? You're on the air.
Matthew, and I'm from Orange County.
Okay, California?
Yeah.
All right, Matthew in California, what's on your mind?
I want to talk about the Israeli U.S. defense initiative for the National Defense Authorization Act.
Okay, you sound like a very knowledgeable person.
For the Israel Defense Technology Cooperation Initiative of this act, how do you feel about this act, and how it had unanimous Republican support to sign for this act, which essentially would fully integrate our military with Israel's military, which that is a genocidal regime, potentially, allegedly, in which we would lose our autonomous ability to make decisions.
You use a lot of fancy words. Let me ask you, before I answer this, you're out in California. Do you have one of those medical marijuana cards or anything?
No.
Do you use marijuana or CBD in any form, like gummies or anything?
No.
Okay, because you sound like you're a little out of it. Because the way you're talking is just strange. You know, whatever.
Why is it strange?
What you read to me sounded like directions to putting together an IKEA table or something. So I'm a little.
It's a huge tongue twister, isn't it?
Well, I'm a little confused.
That whole act is a huge tongue twister. I want you to try and repeat it yourself.
What you read?
Yeah, I want you to try and repeat that initiative.
You sure you're not high? You're sure you're not high?
Yourself.
You sure you're not high? Okay, so I'm a little confused. You said that the Republicans are 100% unanimously supporting passing a law that would integrate fully the Israeli Defense Force in the United States military, so we would no longer have our own military? I'm confused. What are you saying?
So it's called the United States Israel Defense Technology
Okay, and what does it do?
Initiative.
And what does it do?
It would fully integrate Israel's military and our military.
What does that mean? I don't know.
We would have full access to our systems. All of our everything is fully integrated.
Really? You mean like somebody from the Israeli military could go to Mississippi and fly the stealth bomber out of Mississippi?
All our AI systems, all our AI technology will all be shared tech. Mm-hmm. It'll all be shared
so they can
together. The same.
No, I don't know what this initiative you're talking about is, but I know this. Okay, with Israel's
part of the National Defense
hold on a second. Israel is one of many U.S. allies. Okay, we have many allies. Israel, the NATO nations, which include Canada and most of Europe. We have some new allies, Iraq, Turkey, Syria, the UAE. And the way that it works, okay, with our allies and the military technology, the United States, we have the most advanced military technology in the world. And some of our most classified military technology was kind of revealed in the Maduro raid, right? You know, and what we found out is that the United States military, that our technology is about 35 or 40 years more advanced than any other country in the world. Okay, so what happens with countries we're allied with, Europe, Israel, the Middle Eastern allies, or wherever else, Japan, while we share. We have military contracts with them so that they'll use U.S. equipment and planes and other things. We don't let them use our most advanced secret stuff. We keep that for ourselves. The stuff that's like the things we use on the Maduro raid, we don't share that with anyone. We share with them technology that's almost open sourced at this point. Did I lose you?
No, you didn't lose me.
Okay. So everything you said is inaccurate. We are not giving any ally access to our most advanced technology. That's just something you're hallucinating.
You haven't read this act.
If we were giving, I don't have to, if we were giving the most advanced technology that the United States has to Israel, I wouldn't have to read the act. It'd be the lead story in every liberal news outlet in the world. It'd be leading on CNN. No, it's not. We are not giving them our advanced weaponry. We don't, by the way, we don't give them, we sell it to them. But we're not.
We sell it to them and they use, after we give them billions of dollars of our own money to spend on that.
Okay, we give Israel money. When we give Israel money,
they buy our own stuff with our own money.
That's correct. We give them money, and they have to spend it in the United States. So that creates.
So that's just us spending money.
No, they buy weapons from private military contractors, the people that make the equipment. So it's creating high wage jobs. They have to spend the money in the United States.
So we're subsidizing like our own military industrial complex with a war-hungry country.
A war-hungry country? What countries have Israel conquers other countries? What country have they conquered?
Well, they obliterated Palestine.
That's not a country. That's a fictitious place. That's not a country. That's a fictitious place.
It's not a fictitious place.
Yeah, it is.
What makes you think that Palestine is a fictitious place?
It doesn't exist. Look on your map, an American map.
It does exist.
No, it does not. You're talking about Gaza.
Palestine is Gaza.
No.
Gaza is in Palestine.
No, Palestine does not exist. It's a fictitious place. It's like Arendelle. That's the kingdom in Frozen. Arendelle and Palestine. They're both fictitious places.
So what happened in 1948?
Israel was established by the UN as a country.
As a state, but what was there before?
It was a British territory that was called Palestine,
No,
but it was a British territory.
It was British occupied. It was occupied by a foreign entity.
Yeah.
But what was it? What was those people?
It was a British territory that was called Palestine until 1948. That was 80 years ago. You're in California.
Right.
You're calling me from California. What did they used to call California?
I don't fucking know.
Mexico.
No one knows.
Yeah, and everybody. It used to be called Mexico.
It was still California, but it was part of Mexico.
Yeah, but it's not anymore, is it?
No.
Do you want to give it back to Mexico?
No, but
well, wait a minute. So why? So this is where I'm confused. The United Nations. No. The United Nations, which are the countries of the world, the United Nations established Israel in 1948, turned British Palestine into Israel. But you want to give Israel back to Palestine, but you don't want to give California back to Mexico? Why not? You said it. You said it used to be called Palestine. You live in old. You live in old Mexico. Where you're calling me from used to be Mexico. Should it go back to Mexico? Because it used to be called Mexico. Texas too.
No, because we bought it.
We
purchased it.
No, there was there was a war.
We purchased it.
No, there was a war.
Yes, and then we purchased it.
The Gadsden Purchase was a small area. No, we had a war with Mexico.
We purchased
Texas.
California.
No, excuse me. Texas fought a war of independence against Mexico, and then later they were an independent nation. They became a part of the United States. Later, there was a war with Mexico, the Mexican-American War. Texas got a lot bigger. California got a lot bigger. New Mexico and all that stuff. We took all that land in the Mexican-American War. So, but it doesn't matter how we got it. It used to be Mexico. So why should Israel give up its land to the Palestinians because it used to be called Palestine, but you're on a land that used to be called Mexico, and it shouldn't go back to Mexico.
We paid $15 million for it.
It doesn't matter. It used to be Mexico, and there was no United Nations then, and whatever they sold was under duress because we had the war. So should Texas go back to Mexico? Should New Mexico go back to Mexico? Should Nevada go back to Mexico?
I think that we're drifting far off topic. I don't want to spend.
No,
time
it's my show. I decide what the topics are. You know, and I'm talking about the see what I'm no, I'm in Florida. Okay, I live in Florida. I'm in Florida. Florida, Florida's been a part of a bunch of countries. Florida used to be part of the Democrat Confederate States of America. It used to belong to England.
Hundreds of years ago.
The Confederate States of America was hundreds of years ago? Are you sure about that? When was the Civil War? How long ago was the Civil War?
Oh my God, we're going to start about the South.
No. Well, no, you don't know. Okay. Florida was part of the Confederate States of America. It was once owned by France, once owned by Spain, once owned by England. So which one of these countries should get Florida? See, things change. The point of this is lands belong to certain people and places and countries at one period in history, and then it changes over time sometimes. So Israel is Israel now, belongs to the Jews. California is American, belongs to us. Canada belongs to the Canadians. Florida belongs to us.
Jerusalem is actually, it belongs to Christ.
Mm-hmm. See, you just don't like Jews. So you don't think,
No.
yeah, sure. So why should the Jews, you didn't have to, of course you've said it. So why should the Jews have to give up their land, but the Californians should not give their land up to Mexico?
I never said that they had to give up their land.
Manhattan, you're into this buying. This New York City is on Manhattan Island. It was bought.
Is Gaza Israel's land?
It was bought by. It was bought from the Indians for like $20 in beads. That sounds like a ripoff. Should New York be given back?
Land?
Should New York City be given back to the Indians since it was bought for $20 in beads?
No, but we're in 2026 now. Should Gaza be? Is Gaza owned by Israel?
but in 1826, Texas was part of Mexico. That's not that long ago.
Is Gaza owned by Israel? Is Lebanon owned by Israel?
No, I'm not talking about Lebanon. What I'm talking about is your hypocrisy.
Do you know that?
A lot of people believe a lot of people believe that the United States is not legitimate, that this is occupied American Native Indian territory. So should we give the United States back to the Indians, the Cherokee, the Sioux, the Navajo? Should we give up?
But they made agreements and
we had Indian wars. We killed a bunch of them. There were wars.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah, and we won. So we took it, just like the Southwest of the United States. We beat Mexico.
Could they have done that without our support?
I don't know what you're talking about. What I'm telling you is...
Israel have done what it's done right now without the support of the United States.
It had the support of the world. The United Nations established Israel, not the United States. The United Nations established Israel.
But right now the only country.
Listen, I gotta run, but you sure you're not high?
No, but I think you are.
No, I said you're sure you're not high. You said no, you're not sure.
No, I said I think you are.
No, that's not an answer. I said, are you sure you're not high? And you said no. So you're not sure if you're high or not?
I said no, I am not high.
Okay. When's the last time you got high?
I don't.
I said, when was the last time?
Never.
Okay.
You?
That's his story. He's sticking with. Listen, I got to run. Call me again sometime, all right? Oh, my goodness. Guy's living on occupied Mexican territory that he doesn't want to give up. But he wants the Israelis to give up their land. Oh, my goodness. Listen, if you're new to my program, make sure you subscribe, all right? And those of you that are already subscribed, do me the favor of liking the video. Liking the video gets the video recommended to people that have not yet found the channel. So when you guys like the video, it helps grow the channel a lot. And those of you that are new, I am live every weekday morning and every weekend morning. I am live 7 days a week in the mornings. And during the week, you'll catch me most afternoons, okay? And anytime I'm in the studio, I am taking live calls like I've just been doing. So give me a call when I'm live if you want. So subscribe and click that notification bell. My name is Brian Craig. This is where magazines